Welcome to Off the Record, talking real estate with Joe and Makayla. If you're interested in the Portland, Oregon real estate market and want the unvarnished inside scoop, you've come to the right place. Thanks for giving us a listen. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the show. Hello, Makayla.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. You're coming from a long inspection.
I am. It was actually super productive.
Good.
You know, we are obligated to stay so we're representing the buyer on this purchase. When they have the home inspection, we are obligated as brokers to stay there at the home because we are responsible for the home when the inspection's going on. Mm-hmm. So, and I love our inspector. He's a great guy. The one that we work with 99% of the time. And a bonus, the inspection went great.
Yay. So good to hear. I'm excited for our client. That's a really great property.
Yeah, really cool house. What's up with you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just working through my to-dos this morning, and now we're here. I don't know how it's already this time, but
I know the weeks are flying by right now.
I know it's stressing me out, but that's okay.
We are 75 days or so from the end of the year.
Yeah, people are starting to talk about Christmas. I don't need that.
I saw that you have all of your Halloween stuff out.
I sure do.
Wow.
Courtesy of my sweet husband.
Yeah, he is. He's good with that stuff, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got a great show today. We are going to be talking about what smart buyers are doing right now in the marketplace with rates dropping the way that they have. If you haven't seen it, they're high fives, low sixes right now, depending on the loan program that you're doing and your credit score and all that sort of good stuff. But significant improvement. That's a point improvement from where we were at last year, which is wonderful. So we're going to be taking a look at that and just kind of helping people, give them some insight into what we see in the marketplace with smart home buyers and what they're doing. But before we do that, we have our opening segment that we want to do.
I almost forgot. Our off the record moment. So this is a confession or a hot take. Mine's a little cheesy, but my confession is that I got teary-eyed yesterday when our buyer got their offer accepted.
Aww.
In the middle of Winco. I ran in at lunch to get some things from Winco, and that's, of course, when I got the call I was waiting on, and I got so excited and a little teary right in front of the frozen peas.
Yeah, and I know
I'm so excited for this client.
I know your clients were super duper excited about it, weren't they?
They were, yes, they are. So now we got to get through inspections. We can't get too excited, but it's a pretty big milestone moment for them. So
I love that we get to do that with people. That's one of the best things I think we get to do is tell people that they got their offer accepted and they got the house that they want.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So my hot take, and this is nothing new. I've been harping on this forever, but I have a couple of clients, but one in particular that is looking at the Oregon coast, Seaside, Manzanita, Gerhardt, those areas. And I got to tell you, people, my hot take is the Oregon coast is a really good buy right now. It is a really good buy. It's the first time in I don't know how many years that I see prices actually staying steady or not skyrocketing. You got to kind of pick and choose the areas for affordability and that type of stuff. But like I was talking to this client this morning about Seaside, and some of the stuff in Seaside that we had been looking at that was 1.2-ish is now down around $1 million. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And a little bit more inventory is coming up. Not as much as I thought. Usually the fall is when people put their beach houses on because they want to enjoy it over the summer. Not as much inventory as I thought was going to happen, but prices coming down a little bit really surprised me. If you're thinking about the Oregon coast, now is a great time.
That's so exciting. That really helps offset those extra costs at the beach too, like that, the insurance and the maintenance and all of the things. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, great to hear. So that is my hot take, but let's get into our topic today.
Okay.
And before we do that, let's talk about what's changed. So give it a little bit of context about what's kind of changed in our marketplace.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as we've kind of touched on, mortgage rates have come down just a little bit, but it is bringing more buyers into the market, which is very exciting. Of course, when rates drop, that brings up purchasing power for buyers, so they can afford a little bit more maybe, or just be more comfortable at their price range.
If you were in the market a year ago or even 6 months ago and you got pre-approved, it might be time, and you haven't bought yet, it might be time to go back to your lender and just say, hey, can you rerun my numbers and see what I qualify for? Because an interest rate point change can bring your purchasing power up significantly. So if you were looking in the $550,000 price point, you might be over 6 now. You might be 625, something like that, with the same payment that you were looking at 7.25, something like that. So definitely reach out to your lender. The other side of what's changed is there's a little bit more competition. There's more people that have been in the queue and waiting to buy that are now starting to kind of move into an active mode. So take that into consideration. Still seeing a lot of rate buy downs, and
which is good, because then you just buy the rate down further and, having to refi isn't looming on your brain.
Yeah. So that's the context of some of the things and what's changed a little bit. So let's talk about some strategies that we're seeing right now that smart home buyers are making.
So one, which we aren't totally the experts on, but you can obviously confer with your mortgage broker, locking in rates early. So because the rate environment is less volatile, acting quickly to lock a rate can be better, just in case they drift up when we get further into your transaction. Yeah.
The other thing on that is looking at what your rate lock period is, right? Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days, 90 days? What are you getting out of that? So make sure you not only have a good conversation with your lender about when you should lock your rate and that type of thing, but also talk about how long that rate lock lasts. Because if you're in buy mode right now and all of a sudden rates maybe drift up a little bit more, you want to know how long your rate is locked for and not have it expire halfway through your pending sale, like we've seen too many times.
Yeah, that always sucks. So bad.
What about shopping among lenders?
Yes.
I don't know about that. That's one that, we're starting to see more of. Yes, you should always get a couple of opinions and see what people can do. But you and I have talked about this a lot, Makayla. The best lenders and the ones that are going to get you through the process of buying a home the best sometimes aren't the cheapest, right? It's the same thing with a broker. Sometimes you get what you pay for. And I think a lot of people look at like Rocket Mortgage and maybe, hot take right there, and say, oh, they're, quarter point or more difference, and I'm going to be saving all this money. Well, if you can't get the purchase done because the online lender or the lender back on the East Coast has no customer service and you have no line of communication and they don't know this marketplace and maybe they're brand new to the industry and don't really know what they're doing, it can cause all sorts of disastrous things. Yeah, it can be a nightmare, and it can cost you money. And I think you always want to look at the bottom line of, okay, they can give me this rate. And most people in the public, most home buyers will look at it and go, oh, this lender can give me this rate versus this lender can give me that rate. Well, you really need to look at the bigger picture and look at what's it costing me overall to get that rate, because a lot of times they will kind of fold in these fees to buy down the rate a little bit, which is costing you. So if you look at the bottom line of what's it going to be costing you to get this loan, it may not pencil out.
Right.
So just be aware. Be aware. There's lots of different ways to skin the cat, so to speak. But
yeah, that's always a tricky situation. But I think you said it beautifully.
Yeah. So
couldn't agree more.
What about re-examining homes that were previously out of reach?
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this, maybe look at homes that are a little bit above the price point that you were looking at prior. Why not go through, see if there's maybe even a deal there.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love right now is looking at homes that have been on the market for a long time. Because in previous markets, if homes were sitting on the market, say over, 60 days, people kind of thought of it as a red flag. Like, oh no, what's wrong with that house? I don't even want to go see it. Right. Whatever. We just went sale pending with a buyer yesterday on this beautiful home that was on the market for 110 days.
Good golly.
And I can't figure out why it hasn't gotten an offer sooner. Yeah. So there are great homes out there. Just because they have longer days on market doesn't mean they're not worth exploring.
Right. Another thing I want to add is we had a client a little while ago who said, yeah, I want to buy up to $700,000. And we were sending them homes up to $725,000. And they got a little upset saying, well, I can only afford $700,000. And I said, well, the reason we're sending you up to $725,000 is because sometimes there's situations where we want to look at homes at $725,000 because we know we can get them at $700,000 for you. Yeah. Right. And the light bulb kind of went on. They're like, oh, okay. Days on market, different situations, different neighborhoods too. And sometimes, I know this is shocking, Makayla, but sometimes people overprice their homes.
Oh, wow.
I know.
I've never heard of this before.
Crazy. And sometimes brokers go right along with them. And oftentimes someone will say, oh, it's only been on the market a week, but their broker maybe has some sense and says, we have it at $725,000, but $700,000 is a very good offer, and you probably would be good to take that right now because they know that eventually they're going to get, it's going to sit on the market, and maybe they're only going to get $675,000 or $650,000. Look at that opportunities. Don't be afraid to look a little bit above the price that you're comfortable with. Sometimes you can't get them, but more times than not, I think there's good opportunities there.
I agree. That's funny you say that because if I forget to have that conversation with a buyer when I'm doing their search, right. I always feel bad when I set it higher. I'm like, I'm not trying to convince you to buy a more expensive house. There are just deals out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Deals can be made.
Yeah, especially in this marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that we're seeing a lot of smart people do right now is, even if you're not on the market, even if you're not thinking about buying or selling, but you're in your current home, reach out to your mortgage professional. And if you don't remember who that was or need help with that, you can always call us, your real estate professionals, and say, hey, I need to talk to someone about refinancing. Mm-hmm. And there's probably not a ton of people right now that are looking to refi off of their 7.5 or something like that. There's some. Right? If they just bought a little while ago and they have an opportunity for a refi, yeah, it might make sense.
Yeah.
But I would be proactive and be in touch with a good mortgage professional to say, hey, at what point are rates going to get to a spot where it would be smart for me to refi? Mm-hmm. So even if it's not at the current rate, but it's 5.25 or something like that, I would like to know, because if it does bounce down to that, I would jump on the phone right away or get on my email and be reaching out to that mortgage professional to say, hey, you said this is where we should think about refining. I want to do it because that's going to save me a big chunk of money. I
love that strategy. Yeah, because if you're not looking at rates every day, you might miss the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So have somebody else worry about that for you.
Yeah. The other thing is, with rates going the direction they are right now, what should they be considering with some of the lending packages?
Well, believe it or not, ARMs, so adjustable rate mortgages, might be a good option right now, which we haven't recommended for the past couple of years.
It hasn't.
For buyers, if you don't plan to stay long term, you might take advantage of a lower initial ARM rate.
Right, exactly. You just got to be careful and make sure you get a full disclosure on what type of adjustable rate mortgage it is and what the timelines are, how you can position yourself in a good way for that. But right now might be the smart thing to do, anticipating where rates are going to be going. And that's probably down, which is, yay, a good thing.
Yes, of course. Another thing buyers are doing are, if you can, of course, increasing your down payment, or which we like even more, is asking sellers to pay points. So
yeah, some of these last items that we have on our list here are things that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it bears reiterating that these are good strategies. And in any market, but now the market's going the way it is. These are even better strategies. So getting the seller to pay some points, like it was where we were having buyers ask sellers to pay down points for their interest rate, and you were going from a 7 to a 6, but now you can go from a 6 to a 5. And that's even better.
I'm working on a 5.1 right now.
No way.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
That is great. That is great. One other great avenue to look at is still assumable loans, people. Assumable loans. Did you know you can assume an FHA or a VA loan and lock in at what the owner currently has between 2 to 4%? You don't have as many closing costs. Might take a little bit longer to close, but you could save $700-800 a month and up to $10,000 or more a year by assuming a loan. And even with rates at 6 right now, I mean, the difference between 6 and 2.5, 2.75, 3% is awesome. And I know we've done podcasts on this and we've talked about that and all of it, but it's such a great deal, people. It is fantastic. And here's the great thing is, a lot of people think FHA, you have to be a first-time home buyer. Not the case. Not the case at all. And not the case to assume a loan, an FHA loan. And VA, I think the majority of people think, well, I can't assume a VA loan because I'm not a veteran. You do not have to be a veteran to assume a VA loan.
Say it again.
You don't have to. You really don't. You can assume that loan from the VA, but the VA has been they were at lower rates a lot longer than FHA. And if you look at on the daily basis, most of the time the VA rates are much, much better than any other rate. So you as a non-veteran can get in on that and assume that loan. So great way to go.
Can.
What's the other one? We always harp on this, but timing's everything.
Timing is everything. Get your pre-approval before you think you need it. And just, give yourself time to shop. Give yourself time to prepare your home for the market if that's what you want to do, if you need to sell before you buy. But a longer timeline is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think people expect it to happen in a month or a week. They decide that they want a house and they get pre-approved and they have to buy it that day. That's not usually how it happens. So
yeah. The other thing is, if you need to sell a home, start working on it now. Start, if you haven't started yet and you're thinking, we may be thinking about selling next year and moving up to something different or a different neighborhood or something, start working on it now. Give your trusted real estate professional a call to do a little walkthrough, talk about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you're going to get your best return on as far as spending money on your home right now, all of those type of things. And that goes along with, people watching certain neighborhoods and certain areas that they want to be in. Our website, liveportland.com, has a great setup for saving searches, getting notified when new homes come on the market in certain areas and neighborhoods. Go and do that. Get it set up and start looking at it now. It's never too early to start getting your head wrapped around what certain neighborhoods and areas are going for, where the market's at there. Is it going up? Is it going down? As far as values and all that type of thing. But just getting yourself comfortable with the areas that you want to be in is super easy. And it's never, too early to do that.
Nope. And it's never too early to do a little showing. I think people are afraid to ask to set up showings until they're really ready. But I don't mind popping over and showing you a house in a neighborhood you're unsure about or just learned about. That's fun.
It is fun. And we have plenty of clients that are doing that with us right now, just going to take a look and see. They've looked at this home forever and ever. I did it not too long ago up in Portland Heights and Council Crest. And, I've got a couple of clients up there that have great homes, but they do these walks every day and they're like, this one came on the market. We need to see it. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it's like timing's not right, all that type of thing. So go ahead and make that investment and figure out what's going to be right for you. So those are some of the strategies that people are implementing right now. Some of them are old strategies, but some of them, maybe surprised you or whatever. If you have questions about any of that, feel free to reach out to us at liveportland.com, and you can message us there. All of our show notes on this are going to be in the podcast notes there. And the other one, if you love watching YouTube, if you go on YouTube and watch videos, you can check us out at the Live Portland channel and check out our podcast there. We got a bunch of shorts, a bunch of reels, and then full-length podcasts as well are there. So with that being said, we have our last segment, which is...
Something we are loving.
Something we are loving.
My goodness. Joe, what are you loving?
I am loving, we talked about at the top that I was just at a home inspection, and I am loving when sellers are prepared to have their homes inspected. Right?
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
It is awesome.
This house that I was at this morning, they had a notepad on the kitchen counter telling us where the crawl space access was, telling us all about, the water heater, the furnace, where the electrical panel was hidden, and it was hidden. It would have been hard to find if they hadn't said something.
That was nice.
Yeah. But they were awesome, and they stayed there. I was there maybe 5 minutes late, so I got there after Brandon, our home inspector. And they were still there, and they said, hey, we just want to make sure you guys have everything. And Brandon said, all good. But they also made it super easy for us to get access and do the things that we needed to do. So, and people, that's not always the case, is it?
Sometimes it's such a scramble, and you're like blowing up the listing broker. Where's the crawl space? Where's the electrical panel?
Well, it's in the closet under the 10 boxes and all of our coats.
Right. And then we have to shuffle things around or reschedule the inspection. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience this morning. That's great.
Yeah. It was a nice little morning.
I am loving the cooperating brokers that I'm working with on my transactions.
Wow.
I know. It's really refreshing. They're both very kind, communicative, just know their stuff, have good relationships with their sellers, have been getting things to us quickly, and just been pleasant to work with. And that makes so all the difference in the world for a transaction, and just goes to show that who you work with really does matter. I know we say that a lot, but working with a true professional is going to make the transaction go easier the whole way through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad. It does come in waves, doesn't it? Sometimes we get, like any large profession, and there are a ton of brokers out there. And that goes for lenders and title and escrow people and all of it. You get some good, you get some bad, and it kind of seems to go in waves where you'll have
like some knuckleheads, and you're just like,
yeah, it's just like, dude, I don't want to have to do your job too.
Right.
Come on, fella. But yeah.
Well, it's just always a bummer when they're unprofessional to you, because you just know that they're being unprofessional to their client, and then that's not going to make the client feel at ease and the transaction go well. So
I know after the inspection this morning, I texted the listing broker and just said, hey, inspection went great. Few things that we'll probably want to talk about, but the house is all locked up. Lights are off. Thanks so much. Please thank your sellers for, having the home 100% ready. And she texted me back and she was like, thank you so much for that. I have had a rash of people, or a rash of brokers, that just leave the inspection and we never know when the house is available and don't know anything about what happened.
I hate that. Like,
good communication goes such a long way.
It really does.
Yeah. So
cool. Okay. Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone. And hope you enjoyed the show. Check out liveportland.com, livportland.com for more information. And we look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks, folks.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today. If you're interested in finding out more about Joe, myself, or the Live Portland team, you can go to liveportland.com. Thanks for giving us a listen, and see you next time on the Off the Record podcast.